Hello.
I have Michael here with me, and he's ready with some questions.
Awesome. Hi, Michael. How are you?
Good.
All right.
Got your questions?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
What college did you go to?
I went to Texas A&M University.
What GPA did you need to go for that college?
You probably needed a B or better. I had an A average when I left high school.
Okay. How many years of college did you go to?
I went to college for 4.5 years for my undergraduate degree as a Bachelor of Science in Civil Engineering. And then I stayed and went to graduate school for another 2 years.
Okay. What SAT score did you need to go to your college?
I don't exactly remember, but back when I took SAT, it was out of 1,600 points. And I believe maybe you needed an 1,100. I know the SAT has changed some nowadays.
Okay. How much on average do you make a year?
Well, when you start off, entry-level engineers might make between $40,000 and $50,000 a year. But then as you progress along in your career and you become more of a manager, managers can make between $100,000 and $175,000 a year, depending on how many people they're managing.
What companies are best to work at?
Well, there's a whole bunch of them, but it depends on what you want to do. Because as an engineer, you can work for a private consultant, so in the private world, or you can work for a government, whether that's a state government, county, or city. And it kind of depends on what your demeanor is, what you like to do. But I have friends that are really happy in the private consulting firms, and I have friends that are really happy in government, whether they're with TxDOT, with the state, or with the city.
Do you enjoy your job?
Oh yeah, I do. Enjoy it a lot.
Did you take any special classes in high school or college?
In high school, I took drafting, which now everything's done on the computer, but it's what we did with pencil and paper and tools to draw things up. And in college, I took classes towards the end of my undergraduate degree that were specialized in transportation, like transportation design, transportation operations, safety. And in graduate school, I took classes on human factors, so how the human fits into the environment, and also on organizational behavior. It was a business class.
What do you not like about your job?
Right now, all the meetings I have to go to. I don't get to do the fun stuff like I did when I was first starting. Now, as a manager, I have a lot more responsibilities with meeting with people and reviewing progress or working on different problems that maybe aren't exactly the technical problems that I started off with.
What do you really like about your job?
What I really like about my job is the fact that when I solve problems. I can impact people's lives in a positive way. But more importantly, I'm trying to find things that help save lives for people that are in work zones.
Is your job stressful?
For the most part, no. But every job gets a little bit stressful when the amount of work might increase. But that kind of comes and goes in hills and valleys. But for the most part, engineering isn't a very stressful job.
What do you do on a daily basis at work?
Well, my kids would say I go to meetings. So actually, this week I'll go to some meetings to hear how we're progressing on some projects. I've got some things in here in my office that I've got to do, whether it's reviewing material or adding some material. But then more meetings this week. So it depends on where you are in your career. The farther you are in your career, kind of more meetings start taking on your calendar.
What is the main reason you wanted to be a civil engineer?
So I took a trip when I was 14 across the Southwest United States to Los Angeles. And one of the things we stopped at was the Hoover Dam. And I was really impressed that people figured out how to build the Hoover Dam and not have all that water come crashing through the canyon. So the Hoover Dam and kind of understanding that, and then buildings and going over some really tall bridges over canyons and gorges kind of got my interest in engineering and specifically civil engineering.
Are there any colleges that you recommend?
Oh, there's a whole bunch of them. But, I'm going to recommend one, right?
Yes, sir.
A&M, since I went there. But there's UT is a good school for engineering. Texas Tech is a good school. Things out of state, I've got friends from Michigan State, Tennessee, Virginia Tech, and University of California at Berkeley is also a good school. Those are some of the transportation graduate schools that are really good. But there's a lot of good engineering schools.
That's all. That's all.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Hey, no problem. Glad I could answer your questions, Michael.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
No problem.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.
So, Michael, how did that feel? Do you think you got some questions answered? Does it interest you, or